All right, we're going to go ahead and take those rough sketches we just made and put bodies on them. So I'm going to start with Zeus here, and I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing his neck. So I'm going to draw one line here and one line here, and I'm just going to draw two kind of lines over his arm, and they start off a little wider and get a little thinner as they go to his wrist. And then he has one hand kind of up here. So I'm going to draw that hand, and he has kind of like a bird sitting on there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that little bird there. And remember, again, that you can pause this video anytime you want in order to add extra details or to take a little more time. It also doesn't have to look perfect. Remember, these are practice, guys. We're just working on kind of sketching it out and kind of thinking about how those things go. Now, on the other one, I'm going to go ahead and draw two lines again around the arm. But this time, I'm going to draw his hand kind of closed, and I've already drawn, but you can draw your lightning bolt. A lightning bolt kind of looks like this. It's a diagonal line. It goes up and goes back down. And then when you do it here, there's a pointy part like a triangle, goes up, and it follows parallel and goes down and goes back up. Okay. Zeus is known for his throwing lightning bolts. That was something that he was known for. All right. And so here around his body, we don't really see much of his body because he's wearing these kind of really fancy robes. These are what men would have worn at the time. And so I can kind of try to put in some of those details that he had on there. And kind of long sleeves, aren't they? That would have been kind of impractical, I would think, for most people, but maybe that's why he wore them like that. It was because he didn't need to be very practical. Okay, and then he's also got this long piece here, and it kind of came across there. Okay. And whenever I'm ready, I can go ahead and erase the form that I see underneath here because I can't see his skeleton underneath his body, obviously. So I can go ahead and erase inside there so that the only thing that I am seeing is I'm seeing just his clothes and his arms. Okay. All right. And then in his here, he's got a lot of different lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those lines. But right here, he's still got stick feet, and that won't do. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a foot here. So I'm going to go around it here. And normally, oops, that's a little clunky on this side. Let's go ahead and draw that. Normally, people would wear sandals at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a sandal. All right. And so for the other foot, I'm going to do another line here. And then for his foot, I'm going to go ahead and give him a sandal. All right. The last finish up with is Zeus's face. He has this long kind of beard and long, really curly hair. A lot of times the Greeks were shown with really curly hair. I could do his nose. He's got kind of a mustache and an eye here. Okay. I think I'm going to make his nose a little bit bigger. It's a little small. Looks a little like a Muppet. Okay, there we go. So there's Zeus. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. Let's work on Hermes a little bit. Okay, so when I do Hermes again, I've got his head done. So I'm going to start with his neck, one line, two line, and I'm going to do an arm. And this arm, again, is just pointed out. So I'm going to do two parallel lines that kind of go on the outside of it. And his hand is kind of out here. Now, his other hand is holding his messenger staff. So when I do my arms here, I'm going to do two lines that go kind of across the body here. But when I get to his hand here is holding his messenger staff. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a nice long staff here. And remember, again, these are just practice, so they don't have to be perfect. Okay, and then his robe seems to come across his body here and kind of drape down. Goes across this arm. Lots of motion in there, isn't there? Okay, and I'm going to erase the sticks that I did underneath because we know that we can't see the skeleton through there. Okay, erase it in there too. All right, let's go ahead and do his leg. Legs comes down. Now Hermes wore winged shoes or winged boots, and they let him fly from Mount Olympus to Earth, where he would carry messages to and from the gods. So I'm going to go ahead and give him his shoes with those winged boots on them. And I'm going to do the same on this other leg. One line, two line. And then when I do this boot here, it has a wing on the back of it. All right, and then the final thing that we'll do is we'll do his face, and he's looking behind him. So I'm going to go ahead and put his nose in, and he's also got a long beard and curly hair. Okay. No mustache for him, though, I don't think. All right, last one. Let's do our beautiful Artemis. Artemis was a hunter, as we know, and so we see has a bow and arrow that she has. So when I do her, I'm going to do her, start with her neck here. And then once I have her neck, I'm going to do her arms. So I'm going to have one arm that comes out here. And at the end of her arm, she's holding her bow. It's kind of long. Comes back here. Okay. And then on the other arm, can't see much of this part of it, but can definitely see it when it comes here. And then I have my hand, and in her hand, she is actually holding one of the arrows. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and draw her clothes now. She's got these really beautiful long robes on. These are what the Greek people would have worn. Men would have worn shorter robes, and women would have worn really long ones. You'll see in a lot of the Greek pots that the women wore really long, kind of flowy robes that went down to about their ankles, and men wore much shorter ones. Just the style at the time. Styles have changed a lot throughout history. You have to remember that this is like 3,000 years ago, so the style for men's and women's clothing has changed a lot. And probably will change again in 3,000 years. Who knows what they'll be wearing then. Okay, kind of long flowy robes. And again, we have, actually she looks barefoot. That's kind of funny. Most of the time you see them wearing sandals, but I'm going to erase here so that I can kind of go ahead and put her feet in. And her feet are really long and delicate. The Greeks had really strong opinions on what attractiveness looked like, and so okay, let's go ahead and do her hair. She's wearing some sort of like crown thing, which would be appropriate for her since she was a goddess. And her hair is kind of pulled back and going back down here. Very nice. And I see her that she has some arrows back here too. Okay, and then her face goes here. And again, these are just rough sketches, so they don't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of sketching in the idea. Earring. Perfect. All right. So now I've got three people. I've got Zeus, I've got Artemis, and I've got Hermes. And again, these are just rough ideas. Oh, these are not the ones you're going to turn into me. This is just practice. When in just a minute we're going to do I'm going to have you watch one Greek myth. There's three choices. I want you to watch one of them, and then you're going to make your own Greek pot with one of the characters on it. And I'll show you after you watch your myth, watch the last video, and I'll show you what the last step's going to be.